I'm going to talk a little bit about how and why these slots and the geometry for the belt holes came about, and where we ended up with all these small little milling marks in there that you see. Those actually are allowed. It relieves the surface tension when you start bending the product, so it doesn't create a split. You notice this stuff can be bent literally hundreds of times back and forth. But what specifically, this one's really been overstretched, but that's actually okay. But the idea of that is when these are brand new, the way it slides onto a belt, for example, they grip the belt. So this is 1.5 inches right here. They're symmetrical on both sides, pretty much, other than maybe some logos and so forth from MatchPoint. But when this goes through the belt, it's going to be, it's going to grip it, which, depending on what product you have on your waist, you don't want it to actually move. It's locked. So when this goes around you, that plate is not going to move. It's really difficult to move. You don't have to lock anything. It's already there. So now if you want to have a little bit of, flexibility on where it lands, you don't want to have it grip the belt so much, you can just bend these in a little bit and stretch that, and they'll pretty well stay wherever you put them. So if you look at that, I bent it a little bit. That's stiff. It's going to stay there. So it might release a little bit of the locking, so you can slide it a little bit, but you still want tension, on your products to fling all around on you. So, some of these are super cranked over, and you may have to, because like this R2S, it is now stiffened up the whole entire amp. So it doesn't have that flex that it would, if it didn't have something like that bolted on it. And of course, you don't have to bolt the R2S like this. You could put 2 bolts across the center and still have this flex on your waist. So this one might be conducive to putting on your backpack strap or something like that. Or, down here, something like that, something like partial cross draw or something. But again, if you had suspenders or something like that, it would you probably wouldn't want to bend the amp. You'd probably want that thing to pretty well lock in place so it's not sliding all around. And you can throw a piece of, zip tie through there, whatever you want to do to hold it on your backpack. A lot of backpacks, you can't unthread them and pull the strap off and try to get something like that on there. But you can simply, zip tie around that side, go around the back of the thing, zip tie around there, pull it tight, and it'll just crunch your backpack, the strap right on there without squishing it sideways. Almost anything you put on the back of it, it's got the solid back. So this one's mounted with the 2 magazine holsters or holders. You don't have to have this back of this. This product could have been made a lot less expensive because you only need the front. It's got its own back. It's already supported. It's already going to handle a magazine going up and down, thousands of times. So you imagine just making a simple loop around this to tuck your, the magazine into. That's a really easy, cheap product that you can sell, to manufacturers that are making holsters, because not all of them make magazine holsters. We've seen 3 of them on here pretty comfortably. So we've been able to just spread these apart and add one in the center, or you can make one that has, one large one that has a screw between the 2, the center one, and you can add your tension with rubber standoffs, so you can get those things to feel just the way you want them to feel, and also flex a little bit with the belt. All of these amps that we've got here just demonstrating the versatility of them. I put the one together with a screwdriver. If I had that on my belt, I was up a ladder, putting a ceiling fan in or something, I'll probably have a Phillips, then a Torx bit, then a pair of wire cutters or whatnot. The bungee cord material allows you to at least be pretty versatile for some really quick tools, or again on your chest, or whether you put it where it's really super comfortable and easy to get to. This one we put together for competitive shooting or something where you might want to have the bottom of your holster, um, your muzzle hook, down to your leg and pull it in. So you can put Velcro down there or tie off your holster onto your leg and have some pretty good backing and protection so it's not digging into your leg or whatnot. So that's another good product on there. This one was set up with some of our chest carry strapping materials. The double-sided Velcro would be a good product for that because you could hook onto each side, pull it around your leg, slap it on there. So put this one together for, any hammer or something like that. You just throw it in there, you got it on your belt. Yeah, so the material Tough Max was designed to be flexible, but really, really tough. So that way it'll hold shape, but yet, it's cleanable with chemicals or with soap and water. The way the knit lines and so forth work and flow around all of the mounting holes is critical. So you don't end up with weak spots. You'll get other plastics that if you try to like fold them against some of the knit lines where the plastic is actually flowing around these when they're injection molded, then it would easily crack if you start to fatigue it. Whereas this stuff, when it knits back together on each one of the holes, it doesn't have that void or the cold face that comes together during the molding process. So these don't have weak spots in any of the critical areas. So the actual material itself is extremely good for that exact purpose, is to come back and get rid of knit lines and so forth, and actually create the cross-linking that is required for durability under fatigue. So we don't care if it looks great hanging on the shelf, if it's made out of some sort of, ABS or polypropylene or some other cheap material that a lot of companies use. This is specifically designed for this purpose, for the cross-linking aspects of the material. So to us, from a design perspective, we don't have a single call of something failing because of the design of the materials. I mean, you can, like I said, you can bend this stuff back and forth. You can tug on it. You can do what you want. It's so dang tough. It's virtually indestructible. Yeah, the biggest, I mean, specifically the Tek-Lok, I think it's a great product for its time. The thing that I've seen as a challenge with the Tek-Lok is that it doesn't really grip the belt. It's got a lot of slop and it's not as wide of a base as this. This one's got, it's roughly 6 inches wide or so. And the versatility, you see how many holes are on there. You could virtually take almost any part, like this R2S. You could rotate that and bolt it on there anywhere you want to. You don't have to drill holes. It doesn't have just the 3/4 inch bolt pattern. This one's, roughly what, a half of that, 3/8 of an inch. Plus it's got alternating holes that are also 3/8 of an inch. So you can put anything on there and rotate it whatever you want. If you want a different cant on your holster, then you can rotate it a little bit. If you got your cordless drill hooked to it, then you can rotate that a little bit or slide it around, up and down. Just rotate it to where it's comfortable. Like this tourniquet set, somebody just needed a little short system, so it's been cut up and mounted so it's just tight and exactly how somebody wanted it. Or maybe this was prototyping for us, but as you can see, lots of holes in the tourniquet holster, but it does give you the ability to keep things tight if you need them tight. We also had like this one where all of the loops were cut off of it to make a versatile plate for something. People cut these up all the time and just use a small grid. I've seen them between custom magazine holsters and the firearm holster. where they're linking the two together because of the flexibility, the long-term durability, where they just use a small strip of it and bolt the holster to one side, the magazine to another, and then they have their loops on the outside of that. So that works pretty well for that. In that case on here, I probably would have had one of the loops stay on there and so forth. So yeah, chopping it up is always good. It's inexpensive to be able to do that and to utilize it for several different components that you're trying to put together or mock up or whatnot. So it works pretty well for that. Yeah, I mean, some of the mounting features, Velcro straps are good for certain things. Anything on a back of a backpack where you can have somebody grab something on the trail or something for you. Using zip ties work really well for mounting pretty well anything, make a couple loops and strap it on there. Or if you have something that has a sheath or something like that, and it doesn't have holes or any room for it, you can always strap the sheath right to the amp, and up toward the top of the sheath there's usually a flare or something that's going to stop it from sliding down. So we've seen sheaths mounted to these with just a really nice set of zip ties in there. You can put as many as you want that'll fit on the amp. Strap that on good, then you have a pretty good holster for your knife. Doing that, I especially like mounting it on my pack. I've got these mounted on my backpack for hunting, so I'm able to grab like my GPS and things that are really easily lost and get snagged on trees and so forth. I don't like the little tether that comes with them, hooked to anything that's uncomfortable. I want it right up here. I also use these for our radios where we don't, the factory stuff. It always seems to, like the Motorola inexpensive ones, they tend to either get broken or you go next year to go hunting and your radio doesn't have that component that hooked to your backpack again. So these are nice because once you make a little holster to them or you tether them off, they're right by your face, so you can talk and not have the thing beeping and alarming all your game from across the canyon. So you don't have to have it so loud in your pocket and so forth. So I like that kind of equipment that I'm looking at often to be right up on my pack, because my pack goes everywhere with me when I hunt. If I sitting there resting and I'm gonna just look over a bluff or something, you never know, I might be on a 5 mile hunt to get back to camp because something intrigued me once I got there. So I don't leave my backpack behind, but I want all this stuff accessible, so it all of a sudden becomes my tool that's got everything on it. And so having it right up by my face, it's a piece of cake. Yeah, in the vehicle, you can definitely mount it all over the place. I like having my phone mounted to my R2S, so I utilize, similar mounts on everything. We've got them on our dirt bikes where we can take our R2S and plop our phones on there, and then, just makes it simple when you have the same type of mounting system on everything. So these could easily take the R2S on your belt or on your backpack. If you've got your Glock set up with, an R2S, with the push button release, this one's locking. So it's good for any angle. It doesn't matter if it's upside down inside your coat or something. When it's dumping rain and you've got a slot in there to get to it, you can reach up and pop it out. So the amps would work great for that. Obviously, you'd have to mount it properly to do that, but